As a solo player, there's so many advantages that you need to make sure that you have when you're going into these raids, because if you don't, you could end up falling behind. So here's 5 tips that are going to help you as a solo player that you need to be taking advantage of. What's up everyone, it's KK, and today we're going to talk about things that I really haven't talked about too much before that I want to touch more on, because as a solo player there's a lot of little things you need to be paying attention to and things that you need to be using that you may not be using that you should be. So let's go ahead and lock in. So the first thing we're going to be talking about here is drum mags, okay, or any type of extended mag. Now this one is a 60 round mag, and what's really nice about these 60 round mags is that they actually fit into your pouch in a 2 slot, right? So you can fit 3 of these mags or 2 in here, 1 in a weapon. That's 180 bullets that you have with you, all right? That's really good, especially for solo players. You never know how many players are going to be around the corner, and you always want to be playing at a consistent pace, and reloading a magazine can mess that up for you. So having these drum mags is essential. Now let's also talk about the weapon scope that you use, because honestly, when it comes to this game, you can get away with using a red dot, especially for a map like Resort, but I always like to have a scope that has some type of variable capabilities, because when it comes to those situations where someone is shooting you long range and all you have is a red dot, you find yourself just in the worst situation. You're pretty much cooked if you don't have, smoke grenades to clear out your area. So it's always really nice to make sure you have some type of scope or an extra scope somewhere that's going to allow you to get an extra zoom in on your target. Alright, up next here we're going to be talking about these blue stems here, which are for bleeds and preventing bleeds, and we're going to talk about painkillers. And I feel like these two in combination are absolutely insane when it comes to fighting players, especially if you know you're going up against a team of 2 or more. This is definitely going to save you. So as an example here, I'm going to go ahead and pull out one of these stems here. Now this is the one for bleeds. Now this is going to cure all the bleeds in your body, and for 120 seconds it's going to prevent bleeds. Now I'm going to walk over here towards the scav and watch it's going to damage me, but I'm not going to catch a bleed. Still taking damage, blacked out. Alright, you get the point here. I'm taking damage, but I'm not catching any bleeds, right? What that does is when you're taking shots in fight, now all you have to do is just look down and pull out your stem and heal yourself, and you don't have to worry about any extra actions to keep yourself in the fight, alright? Obviously, plus the painkiller, any blacked out limbs is not going to bother you. You're basically going to be in the fight the whole time without having to worry about anything extra. Now, the best time to go ahead and pop these stems and painkillers is maybe around the time where you hear footsteps, right? You hear footsteps, you see players around, then okay, go ahead and use a stem, use a painkiller, and be prepared to fight. As a solo player, the number one thing you can do to take out players, especially when they're grouped up on you, or just any player in general, is to be aggressive, okay? So if you see a player and they're shooting at you from inside this hospital, you're not going to want to go and move around the outskirts anymore. What you want to do is go directly into the hospital and get close. A lot of players out there do not know how to deal with a player being aggressive towards them, alright? That's why we bring in things like flashes, we bring in flashlights, we're bringing in grenades, smoke grenades, because all of these are going to allow us to get closer to our target and push up without much consequence, okay? And things like this is what's going to help you a lot when these inside building fights pop up, especially when you're in Resort. Now, one of the most holy grail tips that people will always give you when you're playing an extraction shooter is always expect there to be one more, alright? Any single time you see a player anywhere, especially in a high value area, the building that maybe has a key room like the Weirth Farm here, always expect there to be more players if you just took out one, okay? Because half the times players do not feel comfortable around these high target areas without having a teammate with them. So if I end up coming around the corner here, oh, there's a player, I take him out, I pop back over, I'm not going to rush over to his body and go directly to looting. The first thing I'm probably going to do is just sit here and listen around for extra footsteps, extra audio. Did he have a teammate? Was there someone else trying to flank me? That's how you should be playing, alright? Always expect there to be someone else. Once you figure out, okay, no one is going to be there, then it's clear, you can go ahead and loot. Now let's talk about the spawns in this game. Something you really have to know as a solo player is where everyone else around you is spawning at. Now if you know on Metro, one of the main spawns is down over here in this medical room, and it's going to be down in this hallway all the way in the back there. A lot of people know about that spawn, so people like me who just spawned over here will sit at this door and just hold this angle the whole time waiting for you to come out, or they'll just go overhead and push over there and just get up close. Okay, so it's things like that are going to help you in the game, early game especially, to get yourself on the right footing and make sure you're not walking in the wrong direction. All right, knowing the spawns around you and knowing where you can and can't push is key. Now if you go over to my channel and you hit the playlist section, you will see the Exfil Zone Alpha guide section, which showcases every single guide that I have made for this game, which is well over 20 plus or so, and I have a lot that has to do with the last 5 tips that I just gave you, which are going to be very in-depth breakdowns, giving you more details on what exactly I'm talking about. All right, so go ahead and make sure you check those out. But that's going to be it for this video. If you like this video anyway, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the comment section, go ahead and give some tips for anyone else out there, and then go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content, and I'll catch you guys later.